Welcome to Istanbul in the 1700s, the heart of the Ottoman Empire and one of the most extraordinary cities on earth, where Europe and Asia met not just by geography, but by culture, faith, and power. Known to many as Constantinople in centuries past, Istanbul had reinvented itself as an imperial capital unlike any other, ruled by the Sultan from the vast Topkapi Palace overlooking the Bosphorus. In this century, Istanbul was home to nearly 1 million people, making it one of the largest cities in the world, a place of constant movement where merchants, pilgrims, soldiers, diplomats, and sailors filled its streets and harbors. The Bosphorus Strait was the city's lifeblood, a narrow ribbon of water carrying ships loaded with grain from Egypt, spices from the east, furs from the Black Sea, and luxury goods bound for Europe. From dawn to dusk, the shoreline echoed with the sound of oars, bells, prayers, and shouting dockworkers as vessels from every corner of the known world arrived daily. Above the city rose the great domes and minarets of imperial mosques, most famously Hagia Sophia, once a Byzantine cathedral and now a symbol of Ottoman supremacy. 5 times a day, the call to prayer rolled across the city, layering sound upon sound as hundreds of mosques answered one another, shaping the rhythm of daily life. Religion was central to Istanbul, but it was also remarkably diverse. Muslims, Christians, and Jews lived side by side, organized into communities known as millets, each governing its own religious and social affairs under Ottoman law. This made Istanbul one of the most cosmopolitan cities of the early modern world. Yet life here was not easy. The city was dense, loud, and often dangerous. Fires were a constant threat, especially in neighborhoods built largely of wood. Entire districts could vanish overnight in flames, leaving thousands homeless. Earthquakes, disease, and harsh winters added to the city's constant sense of vulnerability. Clean water was supplied through ancient aqueducts and public fountains, while waste often flowed directly into the streets or the sea. At street level, Istanbul was alive with color and tension. The Grand Bazaar formed a city within a city, its narrow covered lanes packed with goldsmiths, spice traders, cloth merchants, and money changers. Bargaining was a daily ritual, and fortunes could be made or lost before sunset. Coffeehouses, recently popular and deeply controversial, buzzed with conversation, gossip, poetry, and political whispers. Authorities watched them closely, fearing unrest and rebellion born from words rather than weapons. Social order was strict and visible. Clothing marked status, profession, and religion. Janissaries, the elite soldiers of the empire, strode through the streets with confidence, both feared and respected. The Sultan himself was rarely seen in public, his power expressed through ceremony, architecture, and absolute authority rather than personal presence. Inside the palace, intrigue ruled. Court politics, rival factions, and shifting loyalties shaped the fate of the empire as much as foreign wars. While Europe entered an age of industry and scientific revolution, the Ottoman system remained deeply traditional, relying on established hierarchies and customs that had once brought immense success but now struggled to adapt to a changing world. Still, Istanbul remained magnificent. Festivals filled the streets with music, food, and celebration. Religious holidays turned the city into a sea of lamps and lanterns. Along the Bosphorus, wooden waterfront mansions reflected softly in the water as boats glided past under the moonlight. For all its hardships, the city possessed a beauty that visitors never forgot. European travelers wrote of Istanbul with fascination and unease, calling it exotic, overwhelming, and unforgettable. By the late 1700s, cracks were beginning to show. Military defeats, economic pressure, and internal unrest hinted that the empire's greatest days were behind it. Yet in this moment, Istanbul still stood as a world capital, commanding trade routes, commanding belief, and commanding attention. It was a city suspended between tradition and change, glory and decline, faith and pragmatism. To walk through Istanbul in the 1700s was to walk through a living empire, powerful, complex, and fragile, unaware that the modern age was approaching fast, and that the balance holding this great city together would soon be tested like never before.